All right, so this is Megan
and Ashton.
All right, and we're doing our sociology project. So our first topic is standardized testing, and one of the things that William Reese has argued is that schools have become a multi-purpose institution, which explains why they are so easy to criticize and forever need to reform. Also, it is an impossible goal that all public school districts in America reach 100% student proficiency in 2014, it found. Also, according to the Center of Education Policy, nearly half of the nation's public schools did not make annual adequate yearly progress in 2011, which is alarming. Bronham Williams also stated that what recent trends in standardized testing assessment emphasize is not the learning, but the comparison and ranking of failure. They really just reinforce that the dominant privileges and it just exclude other children.
Yeah, it kind of just standardized testing can make it hard for kids because they can be great learning and then it comes to test and they just flip out. There are studies that shows kids are not good at tests, so standardized testing, can really stress them out, even though that kid's probably very smart. And I don't think teachers should be judged just on those test scores. You're not there every single day. You're not seeing these kids learn and develop new skills and learning new things. It's just, all right, you got one paper, you got a chance. Are you gonna make it or you gonna not, basically? So
absolutely. And going off of that, coming from a person that has accommodations herself, knowing that I'm not a great test taker and I need alternate testing locations, I need extra time for tests, standardized testing does not, I think, adequately measure my abilities as a student or measure my knowledge correctly, because if I had different questions, a different environment, the questions were based on things that were actually relevant, then I would have performed much better in my years of schooling.
Agreed. Yes. So public schools, the governor delegates the power to administrations and the public schools to hire the groups of people who work. So that's all your teachers, your staff, everything. They also have the rights to collect funds. So any of the fundraisers you do for your schools, they own that property. They can hire teachers. They have a say in who they're gonna pick. They can help build buildings. So if they're oh, we need a new gym building area or whatever, they have a say in that. And they determine the curriculum and the teacher's method. So overall, administration has a lot of power, and sometimes that can be a good thing, other times it can be bad. It kind of depends on your administrator and how well they're working with you. The word public is used to describe the Southern colonial schooling. So public is different from private. Private, you have to pay to go to school, where public is seen as everyone gets an education. Every kid gets an education. That's what, when we talk about the Anti-Federalists, that's what they wanted. They, everyone deserves an education, no matter race, ethnicity, class, if they're in poverty, no matter what, every kid gets an education. This is a common form of education for America. Most kids do end up going to public schooling. There has been a little rise in homeschooling. That's been a lot since COVID happened. A lot of parents are keeping them home, and a bunch of recent events that are happening. Homeschooling is becoming very big, but I am still a person who believes that public schooling is the best. It gives them those social skills that they need, and I just think it's better for them to learn how to work in an environment like that, because when they get out into the real world, they're going to be working with people they may or may not like, but they have to learn to deal with it. So the teacher is kind of the employee of a governing board, so you kind of have a little government system in your school, so they're part of that board. And only a fraction of the funds for these schools actually come from the government. That's that financial aid. So those lower poverty schools might not be getting that financial aid because they have lower test scores, and that is something I don't agree with. I think all across America, every school, no matter what, should get the same. Private school should get, or public school should get the same funding, no matter where they're located. But I don't know if it's more of a state thing that they decide on, or if that would be a nationwide thing. I don't know. But I think that public schooling is the best thing for kids to have.
Absolutely. And coming from my past experiences, I've had friends that were in homeschooling, and just like Ashton stated, when they get into social settings, they're a little bit, I mean, I don't want to say awkward, but they just don't know how to translate their dialogue very
They
very
don't
well.
know how to communicate with other people.
Yeah, they just cannot communicate at all, and they just feel like they just need to go back home.
Yes.
All right. So the last topic that we're going to discuss here is the purpose of educators, because we will be educators soon. All right, so Adam Smith stated that even if our primary goal is focused on remaining globally competitive, we must question educational reforms that diminish the potential for creative learning environments. Teachers and students must be given extensive opportunities to enhance individualized learning and assessments of learning that can be best developed and implemented by teachers, exercising their professional discretion applicable to their students. So, I mean, given that there are some standardized things that we have to do, such as goals and objectives, the standards, we could still bring in our own creative juices and make the class relevant and still talk about those current topics that are important, as well as still abide by the standards and objectives.
Two worthy ideas that testing enterprises is have parents to distrust their own ability to see and observe their own child. In fact, like objectively, science starts with this observation, and we must focus on these individual needs that these kids have. Like, they're kids, like they have different needs, different interests, different capabilities. Like, there's so much that one kid can have. So we just need to be thoughtful for like our attention when it comes to that, and like just define how like we would contribute to that development of learning environment, because every kid is different. Obviously you cannot make 25 different lesson plans, but if you have a group of kids who are relatively very similar and say like they all struggle with a certain like reading fluency or comprehension, you can pull that small group aside and kind of work on them more individually.
Right.
So knowing how to understand that some kids might need more help than others is going to help, and building a relationship with the parents, no matter who the kid is, building a relationship with the parents is going to make your life a lot better, because they can end up having your back, and like they want to help their kid. Overall, parents mostly, they want what's best for their kid, so building that nice relationship with them will help those kids in the long run.
Absolutely.